Hi, my name is Jumbo Chen, and my project is on the paradox of data protection. And my partners are Jake Bailey, Devin Luss, Jacob Lankford, and Tajdun Garani. So, in modern society, there's a lot of data misuse. Almost everything we interact with, our phones, our cars, online services, they all collect data and patterns about our lives. And oftentimes, we unknowingly agree to these data programs and we accept them without knowing the full implications of them. And while some of this data it claims to improve our services that we use or enhance the security of society, it can also be misused in harmful ways.
Hello, I'm Devin Lust, and I'll be giving an overview of a common way companies misuse people's data and where this problem can arise. So governments and companies participate in data markets. These are websites where they can buy, sell, and trade data. This is a way for them to monetize their large-scale data. The problem here is that companies are not always careful with who they trade with, and even anonymous data can be re-identified. This is also based on how much effort they actually put into making it anonymous. And so this can lead to increased exposure, whether your company traded your data to another responsible company or not. Usually data doesn't stay in one place for long. Data is constantly getting traded. On average, an American user's data is shared around 747 times a day. And so just because the original company you gave your data to traded to a responsible company, they would go ahead and maybe trade it to a responsible company, but eventually down the line, there's probably going to be a point where they trade it to an irresponsible company. And so this leads to the issue that not every company is going to give your data the same priority in terms of security. And so what causes this issue of differing amounts of security, and this is really a political issue of data privacy. Regions around the world have different laws or mandates, whether forced upon them or they enact themselves, to give data certain privacy or protections. So, for example, in the US, there's no federal comprehensive data privacy law for businesses. This is different from stuff like HIPAA, where medical data and bank information might be protected. But most laws are applied at state level. Privacy policies could be more or less severe in different states. And recently, more laws have been getting attention in recent years, but some argue that it could be too little too late. And also laws like these in different countries or states do not help if the data leaves their jurisdiction.
Hi, my name's Jake, and I'm going to be talking about LLMs, specifically concerns with data privacy when using them. So, what is an LLM? Large language models are AI-based tools based on conversations, and people can use them every day, whether it's for personal use or business use. And they use these for anything from content creation, summarizing emails, generating code, and pretty much anything you can think of that can be solved with text. Some common companies that maybe you've heard of or used are OpenAI, Anthropic, and Gemini. So what kind of data do they collect and how do they use it? Companies that host these models collect lots of data based on the users from conversations. They do store things like user preferences, but most of the data is picked up from the conversations. This could include things like interaction history, user inputs, timestamps, and even potential identifiers. And from the company's perspective, they use this data to improve model accuracy and just in general give a better user experience. Some concerns we have with this are first that models can inadvertently remember information they're not supposed to, whether it's from other users' conversations or conversations from training data, and that can lead to misuse. Another concern is that extremely sensitive personal and company information is at risk because there is no guidelines on what you can or can't put into the chat. So someone could easily put company information in there asking for help, and it would be at risk if the data was leaked. Another concern is the long-term retention of user data past the current context. So if the model is using something that isn't relevant to the current conversation, that could also lead to privacy risks. So how do we solve this? Some potential solutions are the easy one with the users is to refrain from giving away details that could be used to identify you or your company. but also from the company's perspective, we need to further secure the data by not associating it with a certain user account, and that helps to anonymize the data. We need transparent policies and user consent with what they're storing and how they're using it. And from the training step, we need more responsible AI development with the type of data we use to train it.
So another example we're going to go over is automakers. Modern cars are built with driving assistance systems and crash sensors, and those are kind of there to, I guess, keep you safer. But on the other hand, they're used to collect information about, you know, your driving habits, your braking, acceleration, or things like that. And once that data is generated, the automakers are usually solely responsible for how to handle or secure this data. And in the long run, automakers are here to earn money, and that means it's not really in the best interest of consumers on what they do or how they operate. Some of the types of data that they collect would be GPS, driving patterns, turning, acceleration, etc. More advanced cars have biometrics now, like fingerprint, voice, and all this can be traced back to personally identifiable, meaning that your like race, religion, gender, things like that. Some more specific examples are Tesla with around the car or inside the car video recording, or like GM General Motors with their OnStar program, and it's like data collection, and they use it to target specific ads or insurance. And Nissan with personal information like uh, religion, race, sex to improve safety. So our main concern about this is that there are disclaimers about this data collection, but usually they're buried in like a long paragraph or something like that, or maybe every time you start up your car, there's a disclaimer page where you have to accept, and that's hard to understand and locate usually because no one reads that paragraph before they drive all the way. So as a result of that, uh, privacy advocates like Mozilla, they criticize automakers for doing this and sort of, I guess, quote unquote getting away with it legally, and it obscures sort of the truth and kind of what kind of practices they're using to get around this. And this has caught the attention of senators, and it's called for them to improve their transparency of how or what this data is used to do.
Hi, my name is Jacob Blanchard, and I'm going to be sharing about social media and the data that it collects. So, what kinds of data are collected? Personal information is collected, such as the data that we tend to give it. This is a post by somebody I know in high school. They just had a child, and their handle is their first last name. They posted where the child was born. They've got the baby's full name on there, what day it was born, what time it was born, everything about this baby that's existed for not that long. Even shared a face of this baby. And I've redacted all of that information, of course. But also, the data that's collected is behavioral data. Like, what do I tend to like? What do I save on Instagram? What do I share on TikTok? Location data, again, like this example, we've got the hospital of birth of this child, but also different locations like where I went on vacation. And then network data, such as who else do I connect with the most? Is it other soon-to-be graduate students? Is it other tech geeks? It's stuff like that. And according to these companies, such as Instagram, these types of data are collected in order to personalize the user experience, reduce spam and fake accounts, and comply with some government mandates, depending on where you live. So what's the big deal? Social media platforms such as TikTok and Instagram are often targets of cybersecurity attacks, due to the amount of personal information they can possess. Depending on the information that they have, it could lead to identity theft or fraud. Um, these platforms also share and sell your data to third parties, which can abuse some of that information. For example, some parties can issue you targeted advertisements that can border on manipulation, or they can sell your data without your knowledge or consent. And this can lead to issues with personal decision making, as you were being bottle fed information from your data driven bubble. So what can we do? Well, we can consider what we share. We don't have to share every aspect of our lives every single time something happens. We can raise awareness that these companies are taking our data and potentially doing bad things with it. And we can rethink what we've been doing for years. Like I said, we don't need to share whenever we have a child. We don't need to share big life events. What can they do? They don't have to sell all of our personal information. They can choose stuff that isn't necessary. They can also be transparent and accountable for the information that they do decide to share and sell. And they can also make it easy for users to opt out of sharing their data and selling and being able to sell the companies being able to sell their data.
Hi, my name is Tej Dungarani, and some of the key takeaways from our project is in the automotive industries, systems like GM OnStar and Toyota Connected Services, they highlight how vehicles collect vast amounts of user data, which raises concerns about how this information is stored, shared, and potentially exploited. And artificial intelligence platforms like OpenAI, they show the dual-edged nature of data collection, where training powerful AI models often relies on user input, which raises the questions about transparency and consent. And then social media algorithms and platforms like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, they use complex algorithms that prioritize engagement at the cost of privacy. This often involves harvesting and monetizing user data, and this shapes user behavior.
The last thing I wanted to leave us off with was, are we sacrificing too much autonomy or privacy for, the promise of, safety and convenience monitored sort of all by the government?
From the screen to the ring to the pen to the king. Where's my crown? That's my bling. Always drama.